From the illustrious studios here at MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football, our predictions for the SEC season in 2020. Of course, there are just conference games, 10 of them going to be played in the SEC. So that is the typical format of playing all your division opponents, plus the two teams that you originally were scheduled to play in the fall from the other side, the cross-divisional rivalry. So for Florida, that's against LSU, and then the other game. And now two added games, power-packed SEC schedule. Not for the faint of heart, especially you Arkansas and you Vanderbilt. But we're talking about one of the SEC heavyweights and a contender in Florida vying for an SEC Eastern Division Championship after bowing to Georgia the last 2 years, but being very close to climbing up the hill to the top of the SEC into a championship game in Atlanta. Let's run down the Gators season. What you see here are the numbers that are reflected in my win probability and also the Football Power Index. Now, of course, I wrote down my probabilities before I was influenced in any way by the Power Index, and it's interesting to note the differences there. So just because I have a particular team with a probability of winning that game at higher than 50% doesn't mean I'm going to have them win the game. Keep this in mind, football fans out there, because I've already been criticized. I've only released 2 videos, and I welcome the criticism, obviously, and the discussion and debate. That's what we major on here, discussion, debate, and analysis like nowhere else. But keep in mind that we're playing a 10-game season in the SEC. There are no FCS or Group of 5 opponents. It's power-packed all SEC games. Even that stated, I've charted the last 3 years of games in the top 25 and the major games across the country in the Power 5, and more than 20% of the games are upsets. That means we should be looking for 2 to 3 games per schedule that are going to be upsets. There will be upsets. Let's try to find them. So we've got Florida taking on Ole Miss on the road to start the SEC season. The Power Index and myself were pretty close on the probability of the Gators winning, either at 76 or 74%, and I've got Florida winning the game. At South Carolina the next week, or actually that game's at home in Gainesville against the Gamecocks. Florida has struggled through the majority of the game against South Carolina the last 2 years, but dominated the fourth quarter. The Power Index thinks this is almost a lock at 87%. I give the Gamecocks a little bit better chance. Remember, Georgia, 87 to 78% there. Gators win. Then comes a back-to-back doozy. Going to Texas A&M, coming home for LSU. The Gators are a slim underdog, slight underdog in each one of them. The Power Index and myself are very close on the percentages. Okay, Florida's going to go to Texas A&M, though, and pull off a slight upset in defeating Texas A&M. Then they go to LSU, or they come back to Gainesville again for LSU. That has been quite the series in recent years. And it could be argued that Florida gave LSU its best game. Could be argued, not looking at the scores. They lost by 2 touchdowns, but with the touchdown lead in the third quarter in Death Valley, Florida comes back to Gainesville and defeats LSU to move their record to 4-0, then 5-0 with a win over Missouri, a 92% lock according to the index. I'm at 85%, so the Gators start off at 5-0, geared for a big season. Then comes the big one against Georgia. The Power Index only gives the Gators a 37% chance of defeating Georgia. Neutral site, I've got it at 54 to 46% in favor of the Bulldogs. I certainly considered Florida to win this game, but Georgia's still superior, and especially the line depth and talent there works for Florida, or works for the Georgia Bulldogs. I still don't trust the Florida running game, and they're going to need it against Georgia, and the Bulldogs win this one to knock Florida from the ranks of the undefeated. Then it's a nice little 2-game stretch against Arkansas and Vanderbilt. Those are near locks at 93 and 94%. According to the Power Index, I'm right in that range as well. 5-1, 7-1 now. We're at 7-1, 2 games left to play, and Florida in prime position to, if they can get a loss from Georgia, or maybe 2, of course, to get to the SEC championship game, or maybe some kind of wild card spot with 4 playoff spots and only 3 conferences. But Florida loses to Kentucky. I cannot believe this number right here. That's a ridiculous, distorted number from the Power Index. Florida does not have an 85% certainty of defeating Kentucky. I'm at 62%. Wildcats pull off the upset, even in Gainesville. Then Florida, off the letdown, goes to Tennessee and loses again, even though, again, Power Index loves the Gators at 75%. I've only got a 56% certainty of winning that game. So the Gators win huge ones in September and October against Texas A&M and LSU, but fall off the wagon later. Actually, those 2 games in October. It's kind of tough to read the schedule these days because September 26th is the opener. The October games against the Aggies and the Tigers, but they falter down the stretch. Florida finishes at 7-3. If you look at the Power Index, they have different wins and losses, but the same result. The Gators favored in 7 out of 10 games, according to the FPI. Leave your record projection on Florida football down below in the comment section, please. And of course, if you love what we do here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, even if you disagree with me, we bring on the best bloggers, broadcasters, and writers in the nation. We do call-in shows. We do live streams on team-specific live streams there. We do our best to respond to instant analysis involving, most recently, of course, the decisions by the Pac-12 and the Big Ten. We went live directly after that announcement. Coaches' hirings and firings were right there for you through it all. And, of course, we're reviewing the schedules and also have roster breakdowns on the Florida Gators and most of the teams across the Power 5, especially the contenders in each conference, right here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. See you next time.